Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's BDF44 coming at you with another video. See this goofy ass look on my face? That's because the unthinkable just took place on the basketball floor. The recreation of the 96-97 Bulls, the team that Kawhi put together, spiting all Laker fans and LeBron James, leaving them at the altar basically, him and AD, putting them in a position to where they don't get a guaranteed championship flurry year after year. He chose go play with the Clippers, grab Paul George out of OKC, put this team together to beat LeBron James and create parity in the league, for which most people applaud him for. Parity's a good thing. It's been a good season. The Los Angeles Clippers put up a good fight, had a 3-1 lead in the series of the second round against the Nuggets, and they blew that lead. They blew it bad. And they got their butts whooped pretty good tonight. Just got through watching the game. Game 7 is over with. The Nuggets and Lakers series starts on Friday. And I just came here to give people my initial reaction to the game. I am having a great time as a fan. As a talking head / analyst, I just kind of not surprised by what I saw. I knew that they had a lot of different ways this game could have gone. I predicted it would be a high-scoring game. I was wrong about that because the Clippers didn't score pretty much anything at all, pretty much. But I said that Paul George type of player, when you need him to make baskets, down the stretch of a game that matters most, closeout games, he really doesn't play well under that type of pressure. But you can count on him not being bashful, and that's going to take possessions away from you. And we saw a lot of that tonight. But Kawhi Leonard didn't play well. He was no better. He shot poorly. Lou Williams didn't give him much of anything. It was just a whole lot of Denver, man. And I tell you, Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray, Millsap, those guys really came through. Jokic is just incredible, dude. What he was doing down there, his vision, he was just picking them apart. They had a situation in the third quarter where they just kept running the same play basically over and over again. It was more or less like a pick and pop for Jokic to set a pick, roll off of that pick, catch the ball somewhere in the top of the key, and then just make a pass off the double team that was inevitably coming off of the pick toward him. And he was just making the right pass, and guys were just knocking down the tray. It became a situation where it's like, well, the Clippers have no answer for this particular type of play. And it was working. The Clippers did have a big lead in this game, of course, but predictably they blew it. They had it got as high as, I think it was as high as 12. It might have been a little higher than that, but I think it got as high as 12. Jamal Murray kept hitting shots. They had guys kept hitting threes. They got some good things out of this. Some other guys that I've already mentioned. Monte Morris, Jeremy Grant, Plumlee came in, gave him some nice minutes. Craig came in, gave him some nice minutes. I think for me, Porter was relatively quiet, but he did come in and do some key things, 50-50 balls, things like that helped the team quite a bit. And the Denver Nuggets just handled the Clippers soundly in the second half. I mean, the Clippers really didn't put up much of a fight. The Nuggets have been the best team in this series, the better team in this series for more than half a series, and they took care of the Clippers. I mean, to be completely honest, they took care of them. I think you got to give Mike Malone a lot of credit for figuring the Clippers out, working his schemes. Give the people who put that team together a great deal of credit for getting the right pieces around Jokic and Jamal Murray and drafting Porter, taking a chance on him even though his back was bad, and waiting on him to develop. And he's turning into what we think is going to be a very, very important player in this league going forward, and maybe even NBA champion before you know it if things don't go right in this series for my squad. But I'll tell you this, I'm not taking Denver lightly. We can sit here and laugh about how we dodged the Clippers, but don't think for 1 second that we're not facing the team that just defeated the Clippers. They defeated them. And they did it in a fashion that was not conventional, and they did it in a fashion that puts a lot of doubt in your head, particularly when you think you have them by the throat. And that's going to be very important for the Lakers because we do have a substantially weaker bench. Not weaker bench per se, but what I'm trying to say is our starters and our bench is a big differential between the two. Meaning when LeBron and AD sits down, there's a big significant drop off in talent that comes in for the Lakers, which means If we have a big lead, and I said this in a video that I made a couple days ago in the dark, if we have a big lead, do not take Denver for granted. Understand that they do have things that some of the teams that we defeated had, particularly a deadly guard. So we know how to guard a deadly guard, but we have not faced a passing, shooting center. We are going to need to be sharp with Denver. They faced all the adversity in the world. They are not afraid of us. As far as they're concerned, they just beat a team that's better than us. The worst is behind them in their mind. You know, and if I'm Mike Malone, that's exactly what I'm telling them. Hey, look, this Clipper team we just defeated, they were the consensus champion, not the Lakers. So the Lakers need to come in respectful of the fact that Denver is going to have a lot of confidence against them, and that we need not have no short, slow starts against Denver. Denver does not play great defense during certain stretches. We can take advantage of that. But I don't believe that we have the size advantage over the Denver Nuggets that we would have had over the Clippers. You ain't never going to hear me say that the Clippers could guard Anthony Davis, or the Denver Nuggets could guard Anthony Davis. But I think I would bet on Denver's bigs having more success against the Lakers than the Clippers. So as far as I'm concerned, we are running into a team that could defeat us if we don't come to play. They can attack our weaknesses. They are not obsessed with us, unlike the Clippers. They're going to come in sound. They're playing with house money. There's no pressure on them at all to beat us. They're not supposed to be here. And what we're supposed to do is probably knock them off in about 5 games. And that's what I'm thinking the Lakers are going to do. But schematically, we're going to have to figure some things out if we want to have the advantage over this team that I'm predicting we will have. It's not going to be as simple as just coming in and imposing your will. You have got to figure out how to stop their shooting talent. They have guys that can shoot all over the floor. They have guys that can pass all over the floor. They have, of course, this incredible killer, and they do have defensive wings. So we have to impose our will where we can, and just play smart basketball. Don't turn the ball over. Don't get comfortable with big leads, and take it to Denver. The one thing I saw the Clippers do that wasn't very consistent was play stretches of play full games of defense. A full game of defense. The Clippers would play defense for stretches at a time against Denver, and then just kind of let their foot off the gas. Our team doesn't really do that. So I'm expecting us to, guys like Caruso, Braun, AD, KCP, have active feet, active hands, lateral movement, all that stuff. And, Dwight Howard, I think, gets some run in this series. If we were going to play the Clippers, I think we go small a little more than we would have probably against Denver. But since we're going up against Jokic, it would be wise for us to utilize our bigs a lot more than we would have. So I think that's going to be a thing that we do. And we'll see. Denver's going to finally get a rest. They haven't had much rest at all since the series, since the playoffs began, being that both of their series have gone very long, and they've had 1-3 deficits in all of those series. There's just no mental relaxation for a team like the Clippers. They had a quick turnaround from the last series into this one, so with a couple of days off, I think they're going to be able to come back a bit fresher than they normally would have started the series, rather than they would have starting the series previously. So I think we will be seeing a more fresher Denver team than the Clippers saw in the game 1 that they played with them. But yeah, man, as a Laker fan, this is one of the more fun moments. I'm going to be soaking in on this. I'll probably make another video after I process my thoughts about everything that has happened. To see the Clippers fail is so fulfilling to Laker fans. I speak for all of us when I say there was nothing more that we wanted than to see you guys be embarrassed to end this season, because you were so evil and spiteful toward LeBron James, speaking into Kawhi Leonard and his camp, how they did LeBron, knowing that he was waiting in the wing, knowing that they had a short amount of time to assemble the rosters, and that he was holding us up and keeping people in the dark about what his intentions was to keep us from getting talent. They did all of that to cripple us. It wasn't enough for him to break our hearts and make us feel like we're not wanted. He had to also try to destroy our infrastructure in such a way that made it difficult for us to build. It was just a lot of deviousness within all of that, and to see them be embarrassed in this way, to see it fall apart while we're waiting to face them and they never show up, I think is something that they truly deserve. And as a Laker fan, I think I'm just watching karma unfold. You know, it's a beautiful thing when it happens. And I tell anybody that listens, the Clippers weren't going to beat us. They weren't. We were going to beat them in about 6. This team, the way that they were assembled, the one that just got knocked off by Denver, they weren't going to come in as focused as they needed to be to knock us off. They weren't going to come in and they didn't have the size. So I don't want to hear nothing about, oh, the Lakers skipped about. They were able to avoid the Clippers and that's why they did whatever ends up happening next. No. We were there. They didn't show up. So the narrative that LeBron dodged the Clippers, we're going to dead all that right here on my channel right now. LeBron ain't dodged nothing. He and AD stood up, stood tall, and was right there, and them boys never showed up to the court that we was playing on. Denver showed up instead, so we'll play them. That's how that went. We handled our business. Clippers ain't handled theirs, period. We'll see Denver on Friday. I'll do a little video on that, I'm sure. And I'm just going to soak in this night, man. I hope you guys are enjoying yourselves. Thank you guys for watching me, and I'm out. Peace.